It's time for Soccer Cards United, episode 127. It's Monday, the 12th of December, here in Dublin, Ireland. And Enzo and I are on StreamYard doing this virtually because outside, even as I look out the window now from the studio, there is a freezing fog descended upon the part of Dublin in which we live.
The city. Yeah, important to note that we're using the free version of StreamYard because we're brokies.
Yeah, we still have that. We still have that Zoom subscription, and we're not sure we want to part.
That duck stays there, doesn't he?
He stays there, yeah.
Okay.
If you want that duck to go, you got to put some money in his pocket. Yeah.
No.
You got to give him some bread.
No. I like that, but no. Yeah, lots of fog. It was snowing. It's icy out there. I basically said, Jason, I'm not coming over to your house because I don't want to deal with the ice. I don't want to fall.
No, it's icy. It's snowy. Yeah, so everyone's staying in nice and cozy, and I believe in Britain as well they're dealing with a lot of ice and snow. So we hope everyone's staying nice and warm wherever you are listening.
Nice and warm. Yeah, they have maybe a hot chocolate or a coffee or a tea. The fire's on or the heat is on,
and all the family are gathered around, and they've put on the podcast.
Yeah, they have Christmas jumpers on, and they're ready for the podcast because, of course, there's no football on today, so people are they need something. We're giving this to the people today while the World Cup is on its mini sabbatical.
Yeah, as we go from the quarterfinals to the semi-finals. Speaking of the World Cup and the quarterfinals, and so we had a kind of a fun time on Friday when we met Canadian listener Brad.
Oh yes,
on his way home after 2.5 weeks in Qatar, following Canada and seeing various other teams as well. He's having a bit of R&R through. We'll plug the book in just 1 second. Having a bit of R&R on his way back to. We're not there yet. To Canada, stopped over in Dublin and got to meet who I'm sure are his two favorite podcasters.
Oh, absolutely, we were both running late because of the ice.
Yes, because we're not, unlike Canadians, we are not prepared.
Never were
for bad weather. So the city was at a standstill. But anyway, we watched Brazil versus Croatia.
Then I had to depart, unfortunately.
Yeah, I had to depart. And then Brad and I watched the Dutch play Argentina. It was a real day of...
2 games that went all the way.
They went all the way.
How did you... I missed the end of the Brazil-Croatia game with you and Brad. Did you stay in those seats for the whole game, or did you migrate?
We went into... So we got... When you left, we got moved from those seats and we went into the bar.
Okay. You didn't get to witness what the scenes were like during any of the big moments outside in the back.
Not outside in the back, no. There were some Brazilians scattered around where we were sitting, but outside in the back, I'm sure it was a whole other level.
Atmosphere.
Yeah. It was a real moment of jubilation and then anguish for the Brazilians as the Croatians completely Croatia'd them.
Brazil got Costa Rica by Croatia. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Brad, can I say this though? Brad gave us various gifts, which was really nice.
That's right.
We got a nice scarf, got a nice pin. My pin is here somewhere. I don't see my pin.
I have a pin and a sticker here.
Okay, you have that. Mine's here somewhere. My laptop's probably in the way. We got the Budweiser cups from the fan park.
Yeah,
which were really cool, straight from Qatar. Now I'm annoyed about I can't see my pin, but it's fine. I'll find it.
Budweiser cups to be filled with beer that was never served.
Yeah, that's a bit iconic. So
this is like having a box of Euro Select from 2020.
I have mine over there. My cup slightly out of reach. And although we both got a cup, we both got a scarf, we both got the stickers and the pins, there was only one of these to go around, which was a book written by Brad and Bradley here it says, written by Brad and his father about the growth of soccer in North America. So that'd be, Canada and the United States. It's called Soccer Triumphant. And I'm into it. I haven't read it yet, but I'm actually going to read this and then pass it on to you, Jason. And this might even make the wall, maybe on the back. It's pretty cool. Like I haven't read it, so I can't say if it's good or bad. But it seems to be a really good encapsulation. I don't know. It's interesting. It's telling us, how did we get to this point? How did we get to a point where we have the US women's national team winning? We have Alphonso Davies being produced up in Vancouver, obviously at the Whitecaps, and getting sent to Europe. and then just like
Yeah.
Christian Pulisic and everything along with that, Sinclair. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I think you are too, Jason.
I am, and I also found out from
While I was gone.
Brad while you were gone that his father, William Humber, is a noted baseball historian. Who is a member of various halls of fame and societies of honor in the baseball world as a baseball historian. So this is not a book just written by a couple of Joe Soaps off the street. This is a piece of academic sporting writing in the great tradition of the Humber family.
Yeah, and we've seen
here on the show.
I had a quick scan through it, and Brad, I was speaking to Brad himself. He's been to the 2006 World Cup in Germany, the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, and he was obviously in Qatar hitting a lot of games as well, especially with Canada having qualified. Super interesting dude. It was just brilliant. I was sad I had to leave early. I had plans prior to meeting Brad. I was happy I got there before you, Jason, so I wasn't as late as you. And he was a really, really, really nice guy. It was great.
Fantastic. So if you are traveling through Dublin and you want to see a World Cup quarterfinal, I guess in 4 years' time,
if we're not in the States,
then you can
catch us,
avail of that service, which apparently we offer. So that was fun. Just to say as well, before I guess we can go into Hobby HQ and say that as we come to the end of the World Cup, we still have some World Cup Prism on the shelf at sockcardsunited.com.
Oh, yes.
And we were kind of thinking of what to do with it. Obviously it's for sale right now, and it's selling. But we thought there might be some people that, as the World Cup comes to a close, still haven't opened it and are kind of thinking to themselves, should I dip in and get it, or should I not dip in and get it? Oh, there's a hobby box of World Cup Prism.
Yeah, I had it here close by.
So we thought, if you're on the fence, we're going to do a bit of a madness price-wise, and we're going to drop it to $399.99 euros per box until Thursday. So until the semi-finals are over.
With our complete and utter hope of having it in your hand for the final.
Yes. So if
you
you
next
order
day
it,
shipping to most places,
if you order it to Tuesday or Wednesday, you'll get it by Friday at the absolute latest.
Christmas could get in the way of that, but I don't think it will.
Yes. At which point you could then open it during the World Cup final or just before, or whatever you want to do.
Halftime could be a good halftime activity.
It could be a halftime. Yeah. Have your own little halftime show. So you can go to sockcardsunited.com/store and have a look there. And if you want to order some World Cup Prism, we're never going to have it cheaper than this.
Probably. We don't have a lot left.
Probably. Now, Enzo, to the people who have bought it previously from us at a higher price, we say to them, buy another one.
Reduce the average.
Yeah. If you bought it at 500 and now it's 400, hey, guess what? You got both yours for 450. You should be happy.
There you go. And you have National Treasures as well. We reduced that one for the high rollers. As seen on me and Jason's appearance on TV one time.
Yes.
National Treasures. We have that, I think, 1,300.
Okay.
Cheapest on eBay is 1.5. I think I can't really find it cheaper than that. 1,300. Especially, it's a really good price for the Europeans. The Prism and the National Treasures. If you're more of a high roller, that would be the National Treasures.
Get into NT, yeah. Maybe find some Kylian Mbappe autographs or something like that. Some on-card autographs.
Potentially, yeah. There you go.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Apart from that, not a lot has happened in the hobby this week, Jason. Not that I've seen. And then maybe we've been distracted by football.
I have to say, the irregularity of the football, like in terms of like the way it's just like on at all different times and it's kind of all consuming. Usually I would have at the weekends, I'm watching football. During the week, I'm able to kind of
gathering my notes.
Yeah, I'm gathering my notes and putting things together. But I've been kind of all over the place with the World Cup, so I haven't been. My finger has not been on the pulse when it comes to the hobby.
I feel like I'm going to sneeze, but I didn't do it. I was thinking, is that the first ever Soccer United sneeze? And it never came. There we go.
Oh, I think we must have sneezed on the show before.
Don't know. Maybe the diehards can let us know.
Yeah, if someone could start a wiki for Soccer Cards United, and then we could type sneeze into that and say on episode 21, Jason sneezed.
Oh, you definitely. We were sick.
I've
COVID.
definitely
Yeah,
sneezed.
come on.
100%.
Oi. Yeah, no, it's very frosty. Outside looks crazy.
It does look crazy. It looks, crazy stuff going on.
You couldn't be out in that.
No. What was I going to say?
I don't know, Jason.
Now.
Ah.
Oh, yeah. So, right. Gonzalo Ramos, we talked about kind of having a moment.
Absolutely.
And we were talking about this off the air, and I just thought might as well take it on the air.
Okay.
And there was a huge amount when he scored his hat trick against Switzerland in the round of 16. There was a huge spike in sales and in prices for Gonzalo Ramos, and he's still selling
very well.
Still selling well. Here's yesterday. You have a green of 99 Merlin rookie card and 5 base cards going for $203 US, right?
Wow.
But I'll just see if I can find one. Yeah, on December 10th. It's kind of like the price has been kind of going down since they hit a peak there. And who knows what Gonzalo Ramos will go on to do. But I was having a conversation with someone on social media about this, and they were like, oh, this is fantastic. Like, but I don't know when I should sell. This is on the night of the hat trick. And I was saying, like, sell now. Like, especially for that, if you're in that for a low cost, if you ended up with Gonzalo Ramos, like, and you kind of made the bet and the bet paid off, don't wait for it. Don't wait to win again on the same horse. Just cash it in.
Yeah, cash it in. It's hard to do that. Like, I mean, people could have seen the hat trick and thought another club might buy him. You might have a moment, But as you're saying, even if that's not the absolute peak, it was definitely a local peak.
And yes, definitely a local peak. Yeah,
good time to get off the horse. A World Cup hat trick.
Like, it's because a World Cup hat trick is such an unlikely event. Forget about any.
There's only been one at this World Cup, and the World Cup's only happen every 4 years. There's been one at this one so far.
So statistically, it just is so rare that what are the chances that Gonzalo Ramos is going to achieve a similarly statistically unlikely event in the course of his career? Yeah. Low.
And you can add on that so many eyes were on him because he was replacing Cristiano Ronaldo being dropped to the bench.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was your moment.
So I just thought, in future, it's like if you had a Kingsley Coman when he scored a Champions League winning goal, or a Kai Havertz when he scored a Champions League winning goal. Just sell it. Sell it now.
If it's not PC and if it's not something that you care about, if you bought it as purely a speculative piece, that's the time.
Or like, say, like, right, if Messi stuff, if Messi goes on to win the World Cup, although who knows who's going to win the World Cup at this stage, but if Messi goes on to win the World Cup, you could say, like, well, that's going to be a local peak, but you might say, I believe so much in
Messi,
the global trend of Messi, that I actually don't care. This local peak does not matter compared to where he's going, and absolutely. That's fine. But if you're in a situation where you're judging Gonzalo Ramos and Lionel Messi differently, I would say you're doing good business. That's the correct position. You can't apply the same logic to both of those players. It's completely different. Yeah. So it's just interesting to see. I'd like to know from listeners if you sold, if you had Julian Alvarez cards when he scored a couple of goals, did you sell then? Did you sell Gonzalo Ramos? Did, Breland Bolo scored a goal? All this kind of stuff. Like, I wonder when Tchouaméni scored his goal against England, did this year's rookies sell?
Very soon after, you gave away a stupid penalty, so that could have impacted them.
But yeah, I wonder in the minutes between the goal and the penalty.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was definitely sales, because even I was like, damn, why don't I have some of his Merlin rookies? Because I know he's great, I know he's amazing, blah, blah, blah. I'm kind of like, he has such a cool rookie card.
We had somebody offer us, he also has an RC in prison. We had somebody offer us a Merlin of 5 red color match.
For very cheap.
Was it very cheap?
It was cheap until during the negotiations, he was like, I'm not a soccer guy. It was real cheap. Then he said,
that's right. Yeah.
I just found out what this is. He's apparently good. I'm not giving you this for less. He like tripled the value. Maybe.
That's right. We had the thing worked out. I think it was something like,
I thought it was 800 maybe, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I said somewhere between 500 and 1,000. I can't think of exactly what it was. But I said, we'll give you that. And he said, okay, fantastic. I'm not a soccer guy. I was in a break and I got this, whatever. And so I had the deal. And then he goes, no, 5,000 or 3,000 or something he was asking for.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
No,
Like,
you've jumped up.
You just don't
What
do
a
that to me.
great card to get now. But
yeah. So anyway, there's a good amount of Tchouaméni sales, but again, Tchouaméni would be a perfect time to sell him at that World Cup. Before he becomes long established as a defensive midfielder.
He's also made the move to Real Madrid. Like, he's had a lot of little local peaks along the way.
Yeah.
But can I say, actually, people, and even you've tweeted a few times about Luka Modric. People, you're always saying, by the way, everyone, Luka Modric is better than your favorite prospect, right?
Yes.
I think, and like the amount of times I'm in conversations with people that are like, but like, what does Iniesta's rookie go for? And these kind of conversations when we're talking about midfield maestros, midfield generals of the future, of the present, right?
Yeah.
And I think more acknowledgement needs to be put into the fact, Jason. Because like, we're seeing the Jude Bellingham super factors sell for 5 figures, right? All the various Bellingham selling for 5 figures. Like, you don't look at that and say, oh, but where's Luka Modric's prices? You're a gobshite for buying that. Like, the reality is, premium products didn't exist when our favorite midfielders of our generations gone by existed. Yes. They had a little sticker, or they might have had a card, and whatever it was a base, and it was printed in a big way. Even if the PSA 10 pop is low, it's still not a particularly remarkable asset.
It's not a good looking card.
No, it's just some of them are cool because they're rare. Like, whether it's Benzema's rookie sticker, like, stuff like that is cool. But the reality is, even if the PSA 10 pop is low, it'll never have the same value that it would have had if it was a Topps Chrome from that era and if it was a super refractor, right?
Yes.
So even as you're saying, Tchouaméni is going to be a defensive midfielder, what's the point? He's an exceptionally amazing player, and his rookies are premium rookies. I think we still need another entire career cycle to fully understand how the soccer market will treat world-class midfielders. Because imagine Luka Modric, his PSA, his Topps Chrome super refractor would have been neglected for maybe 5-10 years, and then he moves to Real Madrid, and then he just
might have been neglected for 15 years.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's cool, right? I think Steph Curry might have had a similar trajectory. I think he was kind of more of a late bloomer, Steph Curry, and became really good. Right. So his Topps Chrome were really low. I don't know shit about basketball, so I'll stop. But I think that needs to kind of get factored in more. I think midfield, the people are like, when a midfielder is going to matter. It's like, well, look at Bellingham, like, he matters. He's a midfielder.
Yeah, that's true. You're saying that there's no comparison between.
There's no data to go on. Like, if there was a super, if it was, imagine a Topps Chrome Roberto Carlos, early days, or whatever.
Yeah.
Then he goes on to be Roberto Carlos, and now it's like, that's a card people are still going to want. Like, there's collectability to it.
Yeah, that's true. I'm looking here at Luka Modric, 2014 Prism stuff. I don't even think I knew he was in 2014 Prism. That's how.
What do you say? His first appearance anywhere, I think, was 2008 for the Euros.
Right, on a trading card.
I believe there is a trading card for 2008. Yeah.
Right, interesting.
But like Prism, the reason Prism mattered so much is because it was the first premium. It wasn't because it was the first Prism. That's something that I never understood, that I understand now.
Yes, exactly. It's his first appearance on. Yeah.
For most players, apart from like Upper Deck for some English team players, whatever. But yeah, in general, it wasn't about first Prism, and that Prism mattered more than Topps Chrome. It was first premium soccer product.
Yes.
Therefore, it was the first time you get a 101 Luka Modric. People don't understand that. I was going to say something, but I lost. I have a thing. I'll get into it later. There you go.
Just look at that Luka Modric. That's all I wanted to say.
That's all.
27 of 149. $36.
But again, like that's an interest of them. Don't go for crazy money.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. It's interesting. Also, by the way, Modric is amazing.
I mean, he's just. We can talk about him when we talk about Croatia, but just, I mean,
my God,
I mean, come on, yeah. There was actually, I was some interesting quotes in the, I don't know, in the newspaper, in the whatever it was, in the media from Jordi Cruyff, who is, for anyone who doesn't know, Johan Cruyff's son, former manager and sporting director at various places, now working as one of the directors at Barcelona. And he was talking about the when Spain won around 2010, all their stuff, and Real Madrid and Barcelona were very much
the best,
setting out what it meant to be a top level football team, the Guardiola revolution and all that stuff, and it was all set around the midfield. And one thing that we've noticed in this World Cup, and also less in this World Cup than in the Champions League and top level leagues and stuff like that, is that now the midfield is more about control and less about expression. And like you find that the expression's happening in the wide areas of the pitch and then coming in very rapidly to converge on the goal once you've gotten high up. It's not happening like through the midfield. So it'll be interesting to see as well, like players like Modric and then going further back, you've obviously Iniesta and people like that. If you might be Tchouaméni, you might be Jude Bellingham, and so you're fantastic, but because of the tactical trends of the day away from midfield, the stuff you might be asked to do compared to the stuff that you might be able to do will, you won't necessarily be able to show off. That's the great thing about Jude Bellingham is Jude Bellingham has such a kind of a power to him, such a obvious talent and charisma to him that he's allowed to do things that I'm sure there's loads of players looking at him going like, I can do that. Why does he get to run all around? Well, I have to just shuttle back and forth here protecting this channel. I can go up and score a goal. I can go up and give a pass.
maybe.
And they can't. Or maybe if they could, they would. I don't know.
But it's, I mean, the midfield, like, it's obviously quarterbacks are always going to be the main thing in NFL, blah, blah, blah. Forward players are always going to have the most kind of hype to them, but a midfielder like Jude Bellingham across the board, even you can see the social media fandom around them, is huge.
Yeah. So then let's talk about. Sorry, I was thinking about. I had Ultra in my head. I was just thinking about all sorts of different players there for a second.
Is there a case to be made for Lautaro Martinez getting dropped for Julian Alvarez when I pointed him out as the flaw in Argentina's bow?
Is there a case you made that Lino Scaloni was listening to you?
No, but I think I had some fairly sharp. I said, look, that's their main striker, but I think he's the problem. And sure enough, he is.
I actually, to be honest, don't have a good memory of what you said because I was just in a state of complete delirium.
Why?
Because of the height thing.
That's what I said.
I still cannot. I
comprehend it.
I don't even have anything I don't know what to do with that really.
Okay.
Because I don't. Yeah, it's like it's not even that I disagree with it. It goes past disagreement. What I do with that, I have no opinion on it.
You don't think it's a factor?
I don't know. I don't know what I think. I just kind of think like,
he's very talented.
He's very talented, and he seems fine. I think Julian Alvarez. I think your mentioning of Lautaro Martinez as a factor was obviously prescient, but I think the way that you were saying it was making me laugh so much that maybe you didn't get the credit you deserved.
That's all right.
Yeah.
But still a big part to play, I think.
He does. Did he score a penalty the other day against Netherlands?
He did, yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. And because there was a couple of tweets coming in about that to us. Yeah, about how the height didn't seem to be a factor in that particular instance.
Oh, I missed that. That's brilliant.
So also I want to talk about another player who had a kind of an interesting journey with his team. Have you seen these stories coming out about Gio Reyna?
No, I heard that he scored recently in a game.
He did. He scored in a friendly back at Dortmund. So there was this thing where Greg Berhalter was doing I don't know if he's doing like a corporate speaking event or he was doing like it said it was a newsletter for something, but I don't know what it was a newsletter for. But basically, he wrote in it that he had during the World Cup, he had a player that they were not happy with. Yeah, and that they were like getting ready to basically, let's see. I'll read this is from The Athletic, right?
There was a lot of rumors going on that something happened, by the way.
Yeah, so US coach Greg Berhalter appeared to reference the Reina situation without naming the player at the Howe Institute for Society Summit on Moral Leadership in New York last Tuesday. Comments are published in a charter newsletter this week. And the quote is this: "In the last World Cup, we had a player that was not clearly meeting expectations on and off the field. One of 26 players, so it stood out. As a staff, we sat together for hours deliberating what we were going to do with this player. We were ready to book a plane ticket home. That's how extreme it was. And what it came down to was we're going to have one more conversation with him. And part of that conversation was how we're going to behave from here on out. There aren't going to be any more infractions. But the other thing we said to him was, you're going to have to apologize to the group, but it's going to have to say why you're apologizing. It's going to have to go deeper than just, guys, I'm sorry. And I prepped the leadership group with this. And I said, okay, this guy is going to apologize to you as a group, to the whole team. And that was a fantastic thing in this whole thing, is that after he apologized, they stood up one by one and said, listen, it hasn't been good enough. You haven't been meeting our expectations of a teammate, and we want to see change. They really took ownership of that process. And from that day on, there were no issues as with the player. As a coach, the way you deal with these things most appropriately is going to back. The way you can deal with things most appropriately is going back to your values, because it's difficult to send the player home. It was going to be a massive controversy. You'd been reading about it for 5 days straight, but we were prepared to do it because he wasn't meeting the standards of the group, and the group was well prepared to do it as well. That's how bad it got.
Jesus. And obviously, there's no guarantee that's Gio Reyna, but you'd assume it is.
Yeah, the sources then came out in a different... So that happened, and then obviously all the US soccer journalists... went and asked around, and a couple of sources from inside the USMNT setup came out and said, yeah, that was Reyna. Yeah.
What? Do you think it was a case of, from the word go, he was just wilding out and not being professional, or do you think he didn't start the first game and he was throwing a tantrum?
Well, it says here, the sources who requested anonymity because they weren't allowed to speak on it said that Reyna showed an alarming lack of effort ahead of training in the US Open, ahead of the match against Wales, including in a friendly, just complete lack of intensity. They described him as walking around throughout his time on the field during what was otherwise an intense session, which caused significant frustration within the team. The lack of effort was so pronounced that it was unclear whether Reyna was protecting against an injury or whether he was just frustrated because he was not going to be named to the starting 11 versus Wales. Oof.
Jesus.
So it seemed like a kind of vicious cycle, because we were watching the World Cup and people were talking about Gio Reyna needing to play. And we were kind of saying, like, well, look at what the US team are trying to do. Look at how the players are applying themselves. That's not his game. So it seems like that kind of then just made things work. It wasn't his game. And instead of him just saying, well, maybe I'll be used when I'm needed to be used, I'm going to try my hardest in training, he said, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and to be fair, he might have been in his head thinking this is ridiculous, and then going on to the onto social media and just seeing all of the US MNT fans being like, where the fuck is Reyna? He's our best player. What's going on? And then he's thinking he's vindicated and he's right, and the manager's a fool, and and it becomes a cycle because people are missing information. He's a young player. Things like this can happen. Not a good sign. But you'd imagine that he should have a fight. Like, if he was literally forced to apologize in front of everyone and had everyone tell him, you'd imagine the likes of Tyler Adams and Pulisic saying, yo, like, what? Get your shit together.
Yeah.
You're not bigger than the team. Yeah. That should be enough to humble him, and hopefully a few more years before, obviously, the next World Cup, he'll fix that problem of maybe, thinking he's better, thinking that just because he's more talented than most of the other players means that he doesn't have to put in the same amount of effort.
Yeah, so that's an interesting. I thought it was worth.
That's one of the few kind of World Cup scandals that are scandals that are coming out that you'll probably see more of it as the tournament goes on. The Cristiano Ronaldo, Fernando Santos is going to drag on. We're going to hear about that in the next few months, you'd imagine.
Yeah,
and things of that nature. There's definitely other the Uruguay. I mean, we've seen the Belgium
situation. Yeah,
so things like that. I think more things are going to come to light post World Cup.
Because it's like that, like during the tournament, you just put these things to the side and try and get through it as best you can.
There's no time to deal with it. You need to focus on the next game.
Yeah, but then afterwards, people start kind of like when you're being held to account. People start settling scores and playing the blame game and stuff like that. So, it's always interesting to see what happens.
What you were missing, the context you were missing when you were consuming the World Cup first time around.
Yeah, here's what you didn't know. So let's talk then about
sending
semi-finals.
They said you'd be hearing about that for 5 days. Like you would be hearing about that for 4 years.
5 years. Yeah. Well, do you know what it is? Is like that's kind of like that's almost the decision there for Greg Berhalter is whenever a manager goes up publicly against a player, one of them is out.
Yeah.
Like one of you is going, and sometimes you don't want to necessarily put your job on the line for something that can be solved with a simple team meeting.
Yeah. No, it's fair.
Yeah. And like put him on a plane and risk,
risk a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So the semi-finals, and let's look ahead towards those. We could talk about how the teams got there because it's a manageable number of fixtures to discuss. So Argentina versus Croatia are going to play at tomorrow on Tuesday at the Lusail iconic stadium. Argentina got through on penalties against the Netherlands. Similar to the Australia match, they were 2-0 up very late in the game. And then Wout Weghorst came on and scored 2 goals.
Threw his weight around. Big target man.
As Messi said, they just put a tall fella on and started hitting the ball up to him.
That's what you do.
That's what you do when you're 2-0 down with a minute to go or 10 minutes to go. It was a mad match, the Argentina-Netherlands match, I have to say. The Dutch, it's like Argentina kind of did exactly what they did against Australia, where they let the let the team back into it. The difference is the Dutch have options.
Oh yeah.
So if Wout Weghorst had been playing for Australia, I think it's likely that would have gone to extra time as well.
What can I say? Like the free kick at the end of that game,
yes,
is exactly why you have Van Gaal as your manager.
Yes, that's right.
That was Van Gaal written all over it.
Yeah.
That was, I spent hours on training ground with this. Now, here we are. It's the last kick of the game. Let's do the thing that we've been practicing. And it fully comes off in a crazy... that's Van Gaal 101,
Yeah, and that's the... People were saying, to try that at the last action of the game was brave, but the players you don't just arrive at that, here lads, come here, do you know what we'll do? I'll do that, you run. That never works. Whenever players try and do that on the fly, it never works.
Oh, but when you do that, people are paying more attention now. They're okay, something's going on, that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's something from the Van Gaal playbook that they've whipped out, and it's worked quite well. The game was completely chaotic. The tone of it got really bad. Players were going mad at each other by the end. Denzel Dumfries was sent off after the penalty shootout. But eventually, what's that?
I said it was crazy.
It was crazy, and Mateo Lahoz, of course, was the man in the middle, and it's always crazy when he's there, because he loves the drama. But it turned out then that we had a miss from Virgil van Dijk and a miss from Steven Berghuis in the first 2 penalties by the Dutch. By the time Enzo Fernandez missed the 4th penalty for Argentina, it didn't much matter because Luke de Jong and Lautaro Martinez both scored theirs. And the Argentinians went through 4-3 on penalties. A fiery encounter, and Argentina now march on to semi-final versus Croatia, who knocked out Brazil, who we had in our pre-tournament bracket as winning the whole thing.
They were close.
They were so close.
They could have done it.
It was a 0-0, as Croatia always do in knockout games.
Fair play.
And when Neymar had an amazing run and hit the ball into the roof of the net in the 105th minute to send Brazil 1-0 up, it seemed as if not only was Brazil having a moment, but Neymar was finally having his moment
in the World Cup with Brazil.
In the World Cup, when it mattered to send them through.
It was a thing of footballing beauty.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
It was an unbelievable. It's the stuff Neymar goes to bed dreaming about before waking up for the game.
Yes, yeah.
It was stuff the Brazilian fans dream about.
Because it was something that he created. It was a beautiful little series of 1-2s as well.
And they were forced
was,
1-2s. Like, he gave you the ball in a position that the only thing you could do with the ball is give it back to him.
Yes, exactly. It was like he was.
Brilliant.
It was him using. It was the way he was. It was the way they had always hoped he would interact with the team. Everything was kind of clicking into place, and it was all going so well until Brazil found themselves with 6 men. Bear in mind, they're 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go in a World Cup quarterfinal.
Oh my God.
They had 6 men attacking. The ball went into transition. Those 6 men stayed glued to the spot around the Croatian penalty area. And Bruno Petkovic made them pay in the 115th minute when Mislav Orsic, the 2 Dinamo Zagreb men, linked up and Petkovic put it in the back of the net and Croatians took it on penalties.
That gives me chills. Like, that is the most... Like, obviously adrenaline was high, but they all lost their heads. Neymar was going mad at Fred because he's obviously a central midfield player. He was saying, why the fuck were you up the pitch? There was 5 minutes to go. What the hell?
Yeah, what are we all doing up here? Like,
what is anyone doing? Why is the ball not been taken to the corner?
Yeah.
Why is the ball in play at all? It should be out of play. There should be carnage going on.
Yes, we should be time wasting. Like, what's going on here?
That was just... I as much as I love Croatia doing it, like, that's brilliant. Gas, it's mad. Like, it's such a ridiculously sickening way to shoot yourself in the foot when you have a World Cup. And like, what would have been a beautiful World Cup semi-final, Argentina versus Brazil. That just would have given you the chills. That would have been brilliant.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was naive. It was naive. I think the adrenaline got to them. They lost their heads. They felt like Croatia can't score because they haven't scored in 105 minutes. We're grand. But it was... I don't understand how that game wasn't seen out. Do you know what I mean? You just have to see it out. You can't do anything other than see that game out.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing was if they'd been playing... Trying to think, like, if they instead of Croatia, if they'd been playing Serbia or they'd been playing Switzerland, they'd been playing somebody else who hadn't scored against them and all that stuff. When Neymar scores the goal, you kind of feel like, you know, okay, and the Brazilians certainly felt like, right, this victory has kind of been like anointed by God kind of thing. Like, this is like, we did it, it's happening, the story is over. But the Croatians on the other side are going, you realize we were in the last World Cup final.
We've done this before.
We didn't just, like, this is not, there's no mystery here. We're going to keep trying. And if we catch you, we went out in the quarters to Brazil. If we don't, you know.
What's your thoughts on Fred being subbed on in the 105th minute instead of, for Lucas Paquetá, instead of Fabinho or Bruno Guimaraes?
Well, I think Fred has been reasonably okay over the last couple of years for Brazil, but I think you can't just send him on. You can't
he's the kind of player that could fucking wild out. Like, you can't.
He has no composure.
That's it. You don't.
And what you need is composure.
You need Fabinho in that scenario.
Yeah, and if Fabinho's not fit, you put on Bruno Guimaraes because he's going to put his foot on the ball. He's going to give you control. He's going to be in the right position. Fred is who you put on if you're chasing the game.
Yeah, I don't get it. Well, you put him on as an extra midfielder, not as a midfield too. Like, it was just, I don't know.
But I tell you this: when Casemiro got booked in the 68th minute, I said something's wrong here. The cloak of invisibility isn't working. There's bad voodoo going on here. Like, this shouldn't happen. He never gets booked. What's happened there? And then the penalty shootouts, we had Nikola Vlasic scored. Rodrigo missed his huge moment for the youngster. And you know, whatever. He's taking the first penalty for Brazil in the World Cup quarterfinal shootout. You know, where's Neymar?
Yeah, and it's so funny because for Argentina, which we mentioned, beating the Netherlands, Messi took the first penalty.
Yes. So,
I
mean, how
Neymar has that. This? Neymar has that Cristiano Ronaldo complex of, I want to score the decisive penalty. I want that moment to be mine. I want to have that kind of all eyes on me moment. And so many times, the players that are worse at penalties miss them, and you don't even get to kick a ball. and now suddenly our best penalty taker didn't even take a penalty.
It's happened so often. You see it so often.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, why is Marquinhos stepping up in a must-score penalty instead of Neymar?
Yeah. At that stage, you have to, because even if Neymar is going to take the 5th one, you still have to score the 4th one. So the 4th has become the 5th.
Yeah.
You're taking it.
You should just take the first. I don't understand that. It makes no sense. Because, like, if Rodrigo misses his first, right? And obviously you'd back Rodrigo probably to score a penalty, but at the same time, not in the same way you'd back Neymar. So you have Croatia took the first penalty, Nikola Vlasic takes his scores. If Neymar steps up next and scores, the pressure is on the next Croatian penalty taker. When Rodrigo misses, that penalty taker is relieved of stress because they're like, if I miss this, it cancels out what they missed. It's not my fault, you know?
Yeah.
So you just have to do that. I don't like Brazil say, well, listen, we backed Rodrigo to score, but at the end of the day,
I don't want. At the end of the day, I don't want to hear it.
I want to see your best penalty. Like, if you got a penalty in 90 minutes, who's taking it? Neymar.
It's not fucking Rodrigo. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. I hate that. That's
if you wouldn't let him take a penalty, basically this is the rule. If there's a player that you would not let take a penalty during regular time before you took it, then he's not taking the first penalty in the penalty shoot. Whoever is the penalty taker in normal time should be the first penalty taker in the shootout.
I don't understand any other. I don't understand how any and every manager doesn't say, here, you're taking it.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no debate. Oh, I feel more comfortable taking penalty number 5. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
If you want that grand, Rodriguez takes penalties in normal time, not you. Actually, that's mad. That's madness.
I mean, this is a fella that has fallen out with Cavani, has fallen out with Mbappe over taking penalties for PSG. Cannot stomach the fact that he doesn't get to take a penalty when he wants to take a penalty. And when it comes to the crucial moment for his country, says, if you don't mind, I'll just hang on for a few minutes. I mean, where are your big balls now?
But it's not even about being too scared to take it. It's literally, I want the glory of taking the decisive one. But that's the assumption that you don't get.
How can you possibly sleep at night having left that up to somebody else?
Yeah. How could you get knocked out in a World Cup penalty shootout having not taken a penalty?
Yeah. That's it.
Makes no sense.
And
it's hilarious that Messi took the first one because he's not even an amazing penalty taker.
No. But he's the leader of the team.
No, that's it. But the funny thing is, if Portugal went to penalties, Ronaldo would have done the same thing. He wouldn't have taken the first one. It's not right.
It's not right.
I wouldn't allow it as a manager if I was the manager, James.
Yeah, things would be very different. I know that much. So let's talk about the other semi-final featuring the current world champions and Morocco, the first ever African team to reach a World Cup semi-final. Morocco.
The true dark horses.
The true dark horses. One side of Samuel Eto'o's bracket had Morocco in the final. The other side had Cameroon. But Morocco, true to Samuel Eto'o's prediction, have beaten Spain and have beaten Portugal and now take on France. They beat Portugal in the quarterfinal.
They also beat Belgium and they got a
beat
draw
Belgium,
Croatia.
Yeah. No opposition player has scored against them. They only conceded a own goal.
Yeah, the Alphonso Davies goal was against Croatia, not Morocco. That's right. The own goal was against Canada. It was an own goal.
And
that reminds me of 2006. 2006 World Cup, Italy got to the final having only conceded one goal against the United States, and that was a Christian Zaccardo own goal.
Because if you don't concede goals, you can't get knocked out.
You tend to go far. Yeah, there you go.
That's a good lesson for anyone out there thinking about coaching a team through a tournament. Morocco beat Portugal 1-0 with a goal that Cristiano Ronaldo would have been proud of the leap that Youssef En-Nesyri took. And I said to you early in the tournament, Enzo, if Youssef En-Nesyri is scoring, then Morocco are a problem. Because this man is not a scorer of crucial goals. He's not a prolific scorer of goals. And yet things are just going right at the right time for Morocco.
Yeah, because I think when you build on a solid foundation and you are consistently the underdog, you get a lot more space going forward. You know, as long as you're not conceding, like give them the ball, and so long as you can prevent them from scoring with all of the potential they have to score with the ball, you're going to have a lot of open space on the counter. So that's kind of, they're riding their luck to a degree, but they're making their own luck.
They're making their own luck. It's also, I think you find that opposition defenders find it hard to concentrate when they have the ball 73% of the time.
Absolutely.
You know, it's difficult to suddenly, switch modes like that. It was also, I have to admit, a terrible mistake from Diogo Costa to come for the ball and not claim it. That's one of the classic goalkeeping mistakes. If you're going to come for it, you have to get it. You can't come for it and miss it.
No, absolutely.
We saw Wayne Hennessy got sent off in the group stage for Wales after.
You also have to imagine watching Spain against Morocco. You know that you're going to dominate the ball.
Yeah,
that was definitely a game to start Cristiano Ronaldo, despite all of the controversies.
Yeah,
it was a game to start him. I mean, he brought him on early enough second half, but that's a game you can afford to have that player in the box.
I was thinking that myself. I was looking at Morocco and I was going, get Ronaldo. There's not a lot of situations that I would support that tactical move, but just get him.
That's it.
You're fine. He's been in situations. He spent his whole life breaking down stubborn defenses.
Yeah, and stubborn defenses suddenly have something else to worry about when he's in the box. Now your other players are more free. It was just a bit mad, but I suppose he came on and didn't get a goal, so you can. But still, why not have him on for an extra 50 minutes?
Strange. Yeah, I suppose. Can you drop Gonzalo Ramos?
In fairness, you could.
You could. Yeah, you could. You could just say, "Well done, Gonzalo. Sit down there. Cristiano's going to play again."
Yeah, we'll sub you on if we need you.
Yeah, you did it. Well done.
Listen, it's easy to say once they're knocked out they should have done something differently, but I think that's the kind of sword you're going to die on if you bench Ronaldo.
Yeah. So the Moroccans are having just a fantastic tournament. And I'm sitting here and I want to say is I feel like the French just have a little bit too much for them. But of course, I felt that way against Spain and I felt that way against Portugal.
And although the French have played amazing in this tournament, they've switched on from when we seen them in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
They could still come undone. It's not like we've seen Denmark do it to them in Copenhagen ourselves. Can Morocco do it? Yeah, they can. Now, could some team in this tournament that's left in it beat Morocco 3-0? Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it just seems like at this moment in time, Morocco kind of have the beast, and is it a step too far? They're going to start giving it all this. But at the end of the day, I think everyone has underestimated them.
Mm-hmm.
I think Portugal, no matter what you say, Portugal were definitely going, oh my God, Morocco, and we're in the semi-final of a World Cup, let's have it. I don't think, whereas I think now France still have that in them. Oh my God, another World Cup final, all we have to do is beat Morocco. They definitely, I think it's impossible not to do that. But when you're in a semi-final, I think you, every time Morocco get a bit further, you have to take them more and more seriously. And I think,
you can't, especially if you're France being the current holders of the tournament and having just beat England, it's right, we're not going to let Morocco get between us in the final. This is switch on here, boys, kind of thing.
Yeah, because you see Morocco beat Spain. I don't forget about the group stage. You see Morocco beat Spain. You think on penalties. You're thinking, right, Spain kind of fucked up. Poor them, and you're Portugal. You could then you see Portugal get knocked out 1-0. Now you're like, I'm not going to be the next victim. We're
going to score against Morocco. That's what you need to
score.
Yeah, you need to go in and say, yeah, exactly, because Morocco have not been behind,
and France have not kept a clean sheet.
No, so you need if you're France, you're we need to get a goal, preferably in the first half here. And
it's going to be such an it's a semi-final. Anything could happen. Of course, they're all like that, but it's kind of if France get an early goal, it could be an easy night for them.
Yes, because we haven't seen Morocco necessarily have to come back into the game.
But it's tough. It's tough. Here's one, Jason.
Yeah.
And this is people call Mbappe an egomaniac, right?
Yeah.
The race for the Golden Boot right now, we have Mbappe on 5 goals.
Yeah.
And we have Messi and Olivier Giroud on 4 goals each.
Okay.
Could that potentially play a factor in a crucial game where Mbappe, could set a ball up for Giroud or vice versa, but they kind of don't want the other person to get the Golden Boot? Could it impact decision making at a crucial point? You're 1-on-1, you could pass it off to Giroud, or you could try to get it into the bottom corner. 9 times out of 10, you pass it to Giroud for the open goal. This time, you want the Golden Boot, so you're fancy that you can score a 1-on-1. Could that play a factor, or do you think they're professional enough to just get the job done?
I think that's the exact kind of thing I was worried about before the tournament with France. But I think the camp has gotten healthy enough that would no longer be a factor. That's the kind of thing, that exact scenario is the kind of thing I could see happening. But I think Giroud and Mbappe are having a kind of a moment of real kind of symbiosis and synchronization and all that. And I think Mbappe wants to win the World Cup again now more than he wants to get the Golden Boot now.
I think he's on record as saying it's his dream to get the Golden Boot at a World Cup. I mean, genuinely, I know what you're saying, but at this point, I think they both score different types of goals. Do you know what I mean? Like Giroud,
they do, yeah.
Not really occupying the same space, on the pitch. But there's a fear in me that at some point in time, that could happen.
Well, I mean, they're basically, if that does happen, then they're basically betting on the fact. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Giroud. I don't think it's going to happen the other way around. Because Giroud doesn't do that.
Yeah, he won the World Cup with no goals. Now he has 4 goals. He's very happy. He's very content.
I would hope he's very content. Yeah. I think if he got upset about not scoring goals, he would have retired a long time ago. So I think Mbappe, he will be betting on the fact that if I try this and it doesn't come off, and I think he's actually good enough to do this. If I try this and it doesn't come off, I'm going to have to make up for it by coming up with a goal from nowhere, from somewhere else. And I think Mbappe, in the form he's in, I'd back him to do that.
Okay.
I think he's earned the right to.
I think Giroud is the ultimate player to come up against this Moroccan defense.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Unbelievably difficult to handle. And Romain Saiss, actually at the heart of the Moroccan defense, who I believe is the Morocco captain as well, is doubtful for this game. He got taken off at the 57th minute against Portugal, and he has been classed throughout the tournament. So I would really hope that we get as close to a full strength.
Yeah. You don't want those
Morocco team. No, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it.
He also got a red card, obviously, but that was a substitute.
A substitute, yeah. 2 assists by Antoine Griezmann to beat England 2-1. Harry Kane scored 1 penalty, missed another penalty. By all accounts, I've just recently learned that there is actually your second penalty in the same game has a significantly worse chance of going in than your first penalty.
Makes sense.
There's a long history, a long and storied history of people failing to score 2 penalties in the one game. That's why oftentimes teams will switch penalty takers between the first and second penalty.
And it's also like it's part of the mind games, because now you're stepping up. You're stepping up the first time, going, I know most of my penalties go in a specific direction, and so does the goalkeeper. So now you're like, do I put it in that direction? Does the goalkeeper know? Do I do the opposite? Does he not? Does he expect that?
Yeah, bluff, double bluff.
Then you take the penalty, and now you're approaching it with all that information, and then on top of, and he also seen me go that way last time. Does he think I'm going the opposite way? You're psyching yourself out.
There's like too many moving parts at that stage.
But I even think if you swap penalty taker, they're still going to have the same, because they still know the keeper dived this way last time. It's the same shit. It's a weird one. But the ref in that game was crazy.
I think you look at that. You look at how England treated Mbappe compared to how France treated Saka. I mean, Saka was getting kicked around like.
Oh yeah.
And the ref was just like, at some point it seemed like the ref just said, "Oh, I can't give any more fouls to England.
I'm done with this.
I'm done. I can't just keep calling fouls. Why not? They're all fouls.
Yeah, they're yellow cards as well. Like
they're all yellow cards. You can't just keep booting him like.
That's not how it works. That was mad. He was trying to play like an open game, but he was basically saying it's a contact sport. Who gives a shit? But it's like you can't just do that.
Not when the French players are obviously rotating fouls.
Yeah, and you should be in the ref's face a lot more. I know like you don't want to see that, but like you just should.
No, but I don't. Yeah, I think England didn't like England were going like this a lot, like.
Yeah,
but don't go like that.
Get everyone around the ref.
Yeah, don't just go. Oh, what? Oh, come on now! Like this is mad.
Come on, what are you doing now here? They played too. It was very Liverpool-y, like not wanting to get yellows themselves. It for me that game, as soon as Kane missed the penalty, England just kind of gave up. Like there wasn't that last minute. They kept their composure throughout, which is like the Barcelona way of like, We're just going to keep playing our game. We'll eventually get one more chance. We have a good chance of scoring. There was no fucking wake horse up front and just looping the ball in. I've never seen Harry Maguire put a striker and trying to whip them in. They were still scared of France, and it's like it's 2-1. You need a goal.
Yeah, you have.
What are you doing? Where's Trent Alexander-Arnold? Put him on. Put Harry Maguire in the box and just start whipping in crosses.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I know.
Like, what's happening? Why is Callum Wilson not on the pitch? You need to.
The French defense is not good.
No, why are you still scared of the attack? Like, that's what happened. It was really annoying. It was frustrating to watch. Even like the last minute free kick being given to Rashford instead of Trent, who was on the bench. Like, I mean, he would have been laughed at if he subbed on Trent to get a last minute decisive moment, having left him on the bench the whole way through. But I just didn't like that. I think Southgate, they need to get rid of him. As much as he's done really well in terms of calming the media influence and all this sort of shit. But in terms of like tactical manager, when you look at him and Louis van Gaal,
yeah,
they're different levels apart.
I think you almost need like. I think Southgate is actually the perfect figurehead for the England setup. I do think they need somebody in there as well as him or behind him. Well, no, I'm saying he give him an assistant
that
to run the tactical side. Yeah, because
that's mad.
You can't, because if he was as good at tactics as he was at all the other stuff, he would be managing Real Madrid. Like, he would be like the best manager in the world.
Yeah.
So he obviously has a deficiency. And
in fairness, they did outplay France. They were amazing, but they were missing a lot of shit as well. Yeah, like they didn't get a goal without a penalty. Like,
you know the interesting thing is that I actually thought the English press didn't, like, the English media didn't really know how to handle this one, because when I watched the game, I just thought,
because a white person missed the penalty.
Well, first of all, that was very difficult, but also I thought, like, it was a close game against two excellent teams.
Fine margins.
You played about right, and you got caught on a fine margin. If it had gone to extra time, if Kane scores the penalty or someone else scores the second penalty, goes to extra time, who knows what might happen. But it's like the English media generally after these tournaments, they're like, right, we need a full, head-to-toe revamp, inquest, all that stuff. The idea of just being like, we're very good, so are France. Well, we try again in a couple of years, and then we go to
many score from 30 yards. Damn, odds of that happening.
Yeah, like they almost don't have any appropriate reaction to losing a close game.
It's such a sickening loss, because like they genuinely could have won the whole thing
completely. Yeah.
So the only criticism you could have really are the substitutions that were made or not made by Mr. Gareth Southgate.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Gareth Southgate as well, I think one of the reasons he struggles with the in-game stuff is because they are so good. Overall, they're so good that I think he's kind of saying, well, I've taken them from, say, 60% to 84%. And then he struggles with that last 1% to get them to 85 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he's done so much, but it's just those little extra percentage points, like you said, like that Van Gaal brings or that somebody else might bring.
Yeah.
Or that a player like Messi brings, that little pocket of inspiration. That's what I think England are missing. They're missing that, like, special something.
Yeah.
Where you go, like, it's all working, but this guy takes us from... Yeah, so close.
Like, the defense was solid. I think, obviously, their keeper wasn't amazing, right? But their defense was solid.
Yeah.
Their midfield was incredible. Really controlled the game the way I've never seen an English midfield control the game. And then when you have Foden and Saka, they're so talented and so in such different ways.
Yeah.
And obviously Harry Kane's incredible. Like, it's such a good team. Capable. I'd say the English fans are really, really sickened. And I know they're always sickened because they always have high expectations, but I do think this felt different.
They're sickened in kind of like a good...
In a healthy way.
I don't know if it's like, is this better or worse? I'm sure they're thinking to themselves. Like, but yeah, you look at Tchouaméni scores a cracking goal from 30 yards or so. Griezmann's delivery to Giroud's header, like that, you can't really legislate for that.
No, fairness, like the Giroud chance before that Pickford saved, the Irish pundits were saying that he should have just caught that. It wasn't that hardly hit. It's obviously point blank range, but like, could he have caught that? Wouldn't have went out for a corner, But like, as you said, it was super, super, super fine margins. I'd say maybe criticism, they didn't create enough chances. And I think the stats had them with like a lot of shots on goal and whatever, but there wasn't a lot of, that should have been a goal. Do you know?
Wasn't a lot of quality chances.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it seems so silly to say that England are just like that one player away, because, because realistically, I thought on the night Bukayo Saka was that one player
Yeah. And
and just
Bellingham. Bellingham, yeah.
and didn't get afforded enough protection. So it's like,
What do you?
what do you do? I don't know what you do. Try again.
It's tough.
It's tough. So there we go. So that's kind of a little preview of the semi-finals. We're going to be back on Thursday after the semi-finals.
What are we thinking, Jason? We didn't predict.
Oh, no predictions. I'm going to stick with Argentina to go through.
Yeah, against Croatia.
And I can't go Morocco over France. I have to go France.
In fairness, that was the best game of the 2018 World Cup, France-Argentina.
Yes.
You'd be scared enough for Argentina if that was the final, but you'd like to see that final. And that'd be a fun third place playoff for Morocco-Croatia as well.
Whatever happens from here, I mean, you go through it and if Croatia win, it'd be incredible. I think they'd be the smallest country, maybe apart from Uruguay, to ever win a World Cup.
And it'd be a true golden generation to do back-to-back World Cups.
Yeah. If Morocco win,
holy shit!
Obviously they're already in the history zone, representing Africa and representing the Arab world as well. If France win, they'd be the first ones to retain it in 60 years, and if Argentina win, it'd be Messi's World Cup. So we're in it now.
You like all outcomes.
I can comfortably enjoy any narrative from here on in.
I feel that way as well.
And I generally feel like that whenever England go out of a tournament.
For me, I need England, Germany, and Brazil to go out of the tournament, and I feel that way.
Okay, that's good. But now they're all gone, you can sit back and enjoy.
Sit back and enjoy it.
Great. If you want to go to soccercardsunited.com, by the way, we still have that Prism deal on. And if not, we'll see you on Thursday for more Soccer Cards United. Enzo, be safe out there in the snow and the ice.
I won't be out there. Thank you very much.
Okay.